man.
But yes or no?
I haven't finished. Can you let me finish? The thing is, we're talking, and used to call him a man. Men don't go into the female spaces.
Sometimes
women
they do.
and transgender women are women, and they go into female spaces.
Okay, so I came across this debate and I couldn't look away. Because this isn't just another debate. It's a moment where one side arrives with a clear, straightforward argument, while the other struggles to answer the most basic question. On one side is Helen Joyce, calm, prepared, and direct. On the other is a doctor who's presented as the expert in the room, someone you'd expect to answer a simple question without hesitation. What is a woman? That's the question at the center of this entire discussion. And what happens next is remarkable. Watch how quickly the conversation unravels when that one question demands a clear answer.
Let's start the debate with this question. Establishing what we mean by sex and what we mean by gender. Helen Joyce.
Sex is biology. It's the thing that allows for sexual reproduction. It's the thing that's existed on this planet for more than 1 billion years. In mammals, half the mammals are male, half the mammals are female, and we're mammals. So half of us are men, half of us are women. That can't change. Mammals can't change sex. Some other animals can. Gender is an ambiguous word. Some people use it as a polite synonym for sex. Some people mean the stereotypes that people perform. Some people mean an inner feeling that's hard to define. So I tend not to use that word because it's too ambiguous.
What about you, Helen Webberley? What do you mean or establish by the word sex and gender?
Pause for a second, because this is where the debate takes a turn. Helen Joyce asks a simple question. If biological sex is really as varied and complicated as you claim, what are those variations? The doctor points to differences in chromosomes and reproductive anatomy, essentially describing intersex conditions. Those are real medical conditions, but they're also rare. Then Helen Joyce asks the obvious follow-up. What does that have to do with gender identity? That's where the argument starts to unravel. The doctor says they're completely different things. But moments earlier, biology had been used to support the broader argument. Now it's suddenly being set aside. You can't rely on biology when it helps your case and dismiss it when it doesn't. That's the contradiction Helen Joyce highlights, and it's the moment that changes the entire direction of the discussion.
Well, everyone says that sex is biology, and Helen here has just said that it's about reproduction. But there's, the chromosomes, the sexual function, the reproductive system. It's very various in humans, and to say that there's just one or the other is incorrect. There aren't just two ways that a body can be made. But whereas gender is a deep personal identity of somebody, of how somebody lives their life, how they express themselves, how they see themselves, and that's, as we know, is completely unrelated to their chromosome pattern or their organs, their anatomy.
What do you say about that complete distinction that is being made there by Helen Webberley in terms of gender?
I mean, first, it's just not true. There are only two sexes, and the reason there are only two sexes is because there are only two gametes, and the gametes are the thing that define the sexes. This is established in biology. But then this deep inner feeling, if sex is so nebulous, as Helen Webberley says, then how on earth is somebody meant to have this deep inner feeling? Like, what does it mean to feel like a boy or a girl if you don't even know what boy and girl mean? This just sounds like personality to me, or I don't know what it sounds like. It's just not defined.
Helen Webberley?
Well, it's like, what do you mean by personality? Okay, if it is personality, what's wrong with that? It's how somebody wishes to live their life. It's how somebody sees themselves,
so stereotypes.
How somebody fits into this world.
Stereotypes?
Well, why is personality a stereotype? I don't see it as a stereotype. And what do you mean by that?
But I mean, like, to call it something that's to do with being a boy or a girl, like, what? I mean, I just don't know what you mean. If a child comes out of the mother, everyone says that's a little boy because that's the body of a little boy, and then at some point that child says that they have a girl gender identity. What does that child mean if girl doesn't mean anything? If girl just means people
who said girl doesn't mean anything?
Well, you did, because you have.
So here's what I took away from all of this. At its core, this wasn't just a debate about policy. It was about whether the key terms being discussed could be defined clearly. Helen Joyce presented a consistent definition and referred to science and legal reasoning to support her position. On the other side, the explanation shifted as the discussion continued, moving between biology, identity, and legal arguments. Whether you agree with Helen Joyce or not, one thing stands out. If you're defending a position, You should be able to explain it clearly and answer follow-up questions without constantly changing the focus. I'm not here to tell you what to think. People will come to different conclusions, and that's part of any controversial issue. But clear reasoning matters, especially when the stakes are high. Now I want to hear from you. Did you think Helen Joyce made the stronger case, or did you find the doctor's arguments more convincing? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy breakdowns like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stick around for the next one.